Hey guys, welcome back to the LoL Pro League. This is our second game between Tricked Esports and Aces High. Aces High taking the first game in a fairly convincing fashion, I would argue. Thaldrin and Theocles especially putting up very big performances, but of course, this isn't the end for Tricked. They've still got a chance to get a reverse kill here, get 2 games in a row, and move forward to face Rock's Kiss on their way to the Grand Finals. Whoever loses here, though, they are out of the LoL Pro League. They are not going to be able to compete for the $20,000 prize pool. So this is very important for them. They really need to try and make it work. My name's Asigalis. Joining me is Sinji, and let's hop straight into Champion Select.
Yeah, so no surprise to see that Jarvan's actually been banned out. Although Aces have decided to take it away themselves, I would argue that they don't want to let the first pick of it go over to Tricked. Obviously they value it highly themselves, but I think it's one of those things they don't want to give away that early in the ban. Again, Lissandra and Azir banned away, so we said this last game, they've been seeing a lot of bans recently, just because of how strong, especially for Lissandra, her initiation is second to none really, especially among the AP mage sort of category. He's up there with Jarvan for sure, and Azir is just Azir. We all know how much damage he does and how well he scales and how much utility he has, so not really too many surprises in these bans, but the Lee Sin lock-in, do you want to talk about that?
It's an interesting one to go for first, because obviously he is one of the strongest junglers right now, but I feel like, there's Jarvan, and then a little bit below him there's Lee Sin, and somewhere in between is what you want to be first picking if you can't get the Jarvan, right? Like, I don't feel like Lee Sin is that potent. And also, the good thing about it, though, on the flip side, is a very versatile pick, right? You can use it in lots of different team compositions. It doesn't give your game plan away. So in that sense, I do like Trick going for it early, but they might be giving up the Janna Graves lane, and that was really the one thing Trick had going for them last game. Salna's Graves was really, really strong. That was the only lane they were winning. Now they don't even have that to fall back on. They're going to have to try and make something else work.
Yeah, I really agree, and they could have got at least one part of that lane, whether they choose to say Graves or Janna. I don't think it matters particularly, whatever they feel more comfortable with, but I don't think we've seen Salna really perform on anything that wasn't Graves. Not to say he's been playing badly, but he had some really impressive showings on Graves, so actually if they'd first picked that away, I think it would have been a better first pick than Lee, for sure. There is other junglers out there who can match Lee, in terms of aggressiveness, but also just in raw strength as well across the game.
A bit further back in the tournament, we did see Salna have some impressive performances on Corki and Sivir, but in recent times, in the past few rounds, really he's only played Graves.
Yeah, so we'll have to see what he goes for. I mean, the Corki's still open, as is Sivir, and we obviously saw Holy Phoenix play Sivir last game, so I wouldn't be surprised if we did see it again. Meow is hovering over it, so
it is getting locked in. Actually, the Sivir Sona lane is the one that he played Sivir with, I believe, way back in the group stages, and they did really well with that, actually. So certainly, they've got that going for them. Although, I would still argue that giving up the Janna Graves is a bit of a mistake, draft-wise, just to get the Lee Sin.
Definitely, and I mean, the Holy Phoenix is locked in Pantheon. I assume that's going to go over to Theocles, and Pantheon is one of those early game junglers who really does actually match up Lee Sin. He has, that stun obviously, which even is one-ups Lee Sin. Lee Sin doesn't have that much CC, but to give up this Janna Graves lane in favor of Lee Sin when there's other strong picks such as Xin Zhao and Pantheon is just really a little bit odd. I mean, it's by no means a bad first pick. They could have done a lot worse, that's for sure, and the Syndra now actually being hover-overed, so Avenue obviously felt comfortable in that last game, and we saw him land some good stuns, so just going back to comfort picks, I feel, for Aces, and really using what worked for them.
I quite like the Syndra up against the Sivir as well, because you can only block, if I'm correct, one of the balls of the ultimate Unleashed Power, so you can only deal with that so well. And, potentially with the engagement coming out of Pantheon, there won't even be a spell shield for that. So, Avenue's got the potential to really make Salna's life a bit difficult this game.
Yeah, and I also like the fact that Aces are leaving their top lane pick till last. We saw how well Thaldrin played last game on that Rumble, and I'm interested to see what tricks are going to pick. They know he plays Rumble, so they've got to consider that if they pick Jax again, he is just going to counter it with Rumble, because that last game was not close in that top lane by a long margin, so I don't think what's left open.
Alistar.
That's Interesting. I as we saw Alistair a lot at Worlds, and Ben received that nerf where he can no longer use his auto attack during his headbutt combo, so it really decreased the strength of the top lane Alistair because knocking people away was no longer beneficial and was no longer like you used to be not able to trade with it at all because you'd get knocked away, you'd get autoed with a Sheen proc and couldn't win. But now they've removed that, so I'm not entirely sure. And a Maokai would actually be a good final lock-in for Ace here because he isn't that tanky frontline.
This could be, and I'm speculating here, this could be an Alistair jungle with a Lee Sin top. And the reason I bring that up is because Alistair jungle was actually kind of theory-crafted a little bit about. And, even though he can't farm that well, the level 2 gank right after his first buff is one of the most potent. It looks like he's going to be going to the top lane, though, so I'll leave that line of questioning inquiry there. But, these team comps are pretty interesting, especially the one from Tricked. They've got a lot of kiting backwards, disengaging, keeping their carries alive, and on the side of Ace, they've got a pretty hard engage team with a lot of team fights, so it should be a good game.
Yeah, for sure. We're gonna see how this pans out, and I'm very interested about this Alistair top and see how he does because I think they've gone for that little bit of a cheesy top lane pick, and that's got to be where they certainly have to win that up there because if it doesn't work and the cheese fails, they've really lost the edge that they've gone with this niche pick.
Alright, well, stick around, guys. We're going to find out just how well Homer's Alistair does when we get back from the break. Game 2 of Tricked Esports versus Aces High. Don't go anywhere.
Change your mind, can't shake the light. I'll take the chance and roll the dice. Just wanna feel the stars surround, the atmosphere never to come down.
Welcome to Summoners.
Hey guys, welcome back to the LoL Pro League. My name's Lesiglis. Joining me is Synergy, and we're going to be hopping straight into the second game between Aces High and Tricked Esports. Aces High picking up game 1 in a very convincing fashion. This time round, we got some cheesy picks coming out of Tricked with this Alistair top. Can they use and abuse that to get back into this? That is the question. What do you think, Synergy?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because we've not seen Alistair in a long time. We touched on that briefly in Champions League, but he is going to have a pretty reasonable time in lane against Maokai. Maokai not one of those top laners who really pressures you a lot early, and is mainly looking to scale up and be that mid-game hyper tank and utility man for his team. But at the same time, Alistair does the same sort of job. I mean, he's very tanky once he puts that ultimate on. He's great at tower diving, and his CC is really second to none in the top lane. So I'd like to see him once he hits level 6, look to roam. And maybe even just tower dive Avenue in this mid lane, because when he puts that ultimate up, he can break CC, so if he gets stunned into the tower, great, he can just break that. But also, obviously, the huge damage reduction he gets makes him very good for just running in behind that tower, knocking Avenue away straight into the hands of Tyrannus, so I think a lot of it's going to come down to how effectively he roams post level 6.
Yeah, and also one thing which you haven't brought up is that potentially Homer might be going for an AP build. He has picked up the Doran's Ring straight away. I think arguably he would do that regardless of what he was going for, but, if he decides to go for an AP build, that's something we saw in Korea around the time of his popularity. They kind of prioritized AP Alistair a little bit higher than the AD tanky Alistair with the Static Shiv or Trinity Force. But also one thing worth bringing up here is that Thaldrin actually started on the Razorbeak camp, one of the nice little tricks you can do on a Maokai. Then he teleports to lane, he gets a very early advantage in that. So, be interesting to see how this top lane goes.
Yeah, Homer's gonna have a, you know, ever so slight edge on him in the CS, but being level 2, Valorant's probably just gonna walk into lane and immediately start trying to pressure him down. And I don't think Homer's going to be able to trade particularly effectively until he gets that level 2, but we see in the bot lane they get their level 2 very early and start to pressure out Holy Phoenix and Noxiac because they haven't hit level 2
Oh,
yet.
but they're actually going in on the Sauna. The exhaust has to go down onto Holy Phoenix very early, and now there's a turnaround, but the heal comes in. Nico and Sauna very low mana as well. Nico, why did you turn around? The Ignite goes down. The heal is not going to be enough, and he falls. Can Sauna turn onto Noxiac? No. What on earth were Trick doing?
Yeah, Sauna's solo on mana, and so is Nico actually, and all they had to do was walk on out of there, and I can't really understand why Nico decided to turn around. Maybe just a miscommunication there between Sauna and himself, but they've really given up this advantage that they had in the bot lane by hitting that level 2 early, and Graves Janna is
oh man,
very
actually
lane.
Forcing the flash out there, a buckshot auto attack would have been enough to finish off Sauna. He is really having a difficult time here, and actually this reminds me a lot of last game where we saw, you know, Sauna and Nico struggle initially, and then the ganks kind of brought it back for them. But that was, you know, from a disadvantageous lane. And now actually we do see Moarth coming down here, but they killed Sauna. Janna actually sniping that out. Holy Phoenix unlikely going to be able to get away from Moarth. He is going to fall, but you know, that was not going the way of Tricked at all, even though they got that pick onto Holy Phoenix.
Yeah, nice gank there by Mouth, just to try and get them back in the game, but obviously Sauna went down, so he got absolutely no benefit from that. Now Holy Phoenix sitting at 2 assists, and I guess ideally the 2 kills should be on him, but he's going to come back to lane with a pickaxe and pots just to the extra Doran's Blade of Solna, and I can only see Solna and Nico having a rough time now that they haven't got that edge in the early game.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for them to come back into this. I want to talk about top lane as well, because we were mentioning the fact that, you know, Thaldrin, he did those Razor Beaks, came into lane a little bit late, but had the experience edge. Well, now he's got the CS edge too. He's also massively out-damaging Homer in the lane. He's got better mana sustain as well. Homer is really struggling at this point. You need this cheese pick to work if you're Tricked. Your bot lane's not doing very well. You know, you saw how badly last game went for them. They need to make something work in this early game.
Yeah, the one sort of redeeming factor is that they obviously have Xerath, and Xerath is incredibly strong at clearing waves in that mid to late game, and should he be able to sort of just stay even, or even stay slightly ahead of Avenue, he's going to be in a good position just to try and stall that game out. Let Solna and Homer get back into this game and become the sort of strength and the force that we know they can be. One thing to note though is obviously now there's no summoners on Solna and Nico. They have to be very, very wary of Pantheon, because he walks into lane and gets a star on either of them, they're just instantly gonna die. Holy Phoenix and Noxiac do way too much burst damage, so pretty scary
actually,
to be honest.
looks like they're going on to Avenue here. North trying to pick that one up. I think he's aware of the fact that Theocles is nearby. Not going to commit to it too hard. That was very dicey for Avenue. He was very low mana. And actually, Marth lands a Sonic Wave on Theocles. They're going in. Tyrannus is here to back him up. But Marth, he's so low. The Ignite Sonic has to flash over the wall towards his red buff. Very, very close there in that river fight. Whew.
Yeah, the both junglers burning their flash, which probably benefits the side of Trick slightly more, just because it eliminates that flash Pantheon gank in the mid lane or even in the bot lane. But we've seen a lot of action around the bot side, but the bot lane's been pretty passive, and I think it's just coming down to the fact that both of these top laners are really sort of wet noodles in that regard. They don't do a lot of damage at this point, though Thaldrin's at level 6, so Homer's going to need to be careful here.
I mean, Homer does need to be careful, but after picking up that second Doran, she's actually doing a decent amount of damage. They're not able to completely up each other's damage just yet, so it's fairly even, and Homer's obviously got some really nice sustain. Problem is with Maokai versus Alistar is that, oh man, actually, Homer's getting properly engaged onto. He still has 6. There's the level 6. If he uses his ultimate, he actually gets a lot of attack damage and might be able to finish that up, so now to see Moarth has come up as well. Thaldrin is on the run. Can he get away from this? Gonna have to flash over the wall. No flash on Moarth to follow it up. And now Nico in the bot lane, having to exhaust Holy Phoenix. He is getting ignited. One more auto from Holy Phoenix would be enough to finish it off. Not quite able to get there, though. Good job by Nico backing up from that exchange.
Yeah, Ace is really putting the pressure on this bot lane. They have to try and draw Maweth down here so that the rest of their, what a pretty dominant lane as well.
Maweth, he stuck around way too long. Theocles coming and clearing that one up. Oof.
Yep, he's in too deep without much vision, so just a bit greedy, I think. Like, trying to take away the golems this early, I mean, yeah, it's a nice denial, but it was risky. They had no vision of Theocles, and now Theocles is level 6.
He actually uses Grand Skyfall on the top lane to try and go into Homer, but they cannot pull off that dive. He's way too tanky. Theocles actually took a lot of damage from that mid lane. Avenue's out of mana. He needs to be kind of careful against Tyrannus, I feel, who's doing a lot of damage to him in this trade. Thankfully, not enough mana on him to use Rite of the Arcane yet. But man, a lot of action going on so far.
Yeah, we saw in this last game that both these teams really aren't afraid to sort of throw themselves out there and make these aggressive trades, and does mean though that sometimes they come out, you know, worse from it just from being a little overzealous, like we did see with Maweth there when he went for that invade on the golems. And although now that Grand Skyfall's down, it really reduces Theocles' ganking power. And what they needed was really to keep this pressure up in the bot lane while they had no summoners, but Soln has just got his flashback, Nico still has it as well. Unless Holy Phoenix and Noxian can sort of force their summoners now, they're not going to be particularly easy targets to gank with that Crescendo and Spell Shield.
Yeah, I mean, they've certainly hit a point where they're a little bit more easily able to escape things. The problem is that if you burn the Spell Shield and the Crescendo in 2 versus 2, which definitely Aces High have potential to do, then a Grand Skyfall following that up could be devastating for Tricked bot lane. But at the moment, obviously, still a while on that cooldown. They're not going to get anything too early. And actually, Noxiac, he is miles out of position here. Moar coming in the flash in a very weird direction from Noxiac, but it actually might have resulted in Avenue picking up a kill here on a Moar. He is on about 1 health and able to get away. Sauna, he's being chased up by Theocles, and Avenue not able to get it. And now Rite of the Arcane coming out, does pick up Noxiac, actually lands on Avenue as well with the Crescendo. They're doing a very good job here, but Nico, now he's got to run. Holy Phoenix comes in, easy pickup for him, and ends up just being a 1-for-1 trade. Although Thaldrin, oh Tyrannus, you are miles out of position, buddy. Good TP in by Thaldrin, keeping Tyrannus in a very bad spot. He actually flashes over, and Theocles ran in a very weird direction there, not able to get onto him quickly. The sapling is going to land a slow, and Theocles can finish it up, though.
Yeah, I think they could possibly have gone for Dragon, though, had they, you know...
Oh, Mark! He lands a Sonic Wave! There's a good flash away from Avenue, though, keeping him alive. That was very, very close. Good moves by Avenue dodging that out.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that Maweth wasn't level 6 yet. He's actually 2 levels behind Theocles at this point. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's going to be dinging 6 anytime soon now, but they need this Lee Sin to get 6 and really start to looking to get more pressure around this mid lane, around this Dragon, because Ace's level 6, you know, sort of fight of Dragon is actually incredibly scary. You see Noxiac roaming up into this top lane to try and pressure on Homer.
Yeah, I mean, he does put some pressure down. I don't know if it really achieved too much, I suppose, because of the fact that Holy Phoenix wasn't actually in lane. He didn't need to be there to back him up. But that could have been a bit risky if, you know, Maweth had just directly gone for the Dragon. Having your support and your top lane in that top lane without teleport on Thaldrin could have been a bad thing, you know, for Aces High.
Yeah, and no one really has that much vision of the Dragon itself. There's quite... Actually, I'm really impressed with Ace's ward coverage. They've got one on the red side of Tricked and near the Golem, so they're actually in a good position if they wanted to go and sneak it. They know that Xerath has moved over to that blue buff, so could be looking to do something. I just think the bot lane's pushed them a little bit too far, and also Theocles is a bit low on mana.
Oh, man. Holy Phoenix does a lot of damage, but the heals coming out of Nico actually do a good job of dealing with that, to be honest. They're starting to get to a point where they can really sustain quite nicely. And, you know, collateral damage being burned there is definitely a good thing for Trick if they want to go for something a bit later on. Yeah. Oh, Avenue in the mid lane. He does get hit by the stun. Maweth comes in. Dragon Rage doesn't get it up. And actually, that ends up with 2 kills going the way of Aces High. Somehow, really nice Grand Skyfall by Theocles. And this is looking like it might actually be a dragon, too.
Yeah, they've shut up this bot lane. They should be able to do this. Holy Phoenix is so strong right now, they should be able to burst it down pretty hard. And Homer's also pushed in the top wave, so there's no way he's going to be able to TP down and contest. So really nice pickup from Aces there, and a great counter gank for Theocles.
Yeah, and as you're saying, you know, Thaldrin pushing up right now is exactly what he wanted to be doing. It gave his team the ability to go for that dragon and not worry about Homer TPing down. It's the only thing that could have made it an even fight. Obviously, you know, Moerth was dead as well, so there's no smite available, which would have been kind of a big deal. But what do you think about Homer so far? If you look at his items, he has picked up 2 Dorns. Actually, hang on, Moerth is getting engaged on the jungle. Theocles doing a lot of damage. Good ward jump into the red pit. He's able to keep him alive. But going back, revisiting... Oh, actually, we might not have time either because mid lane, it looks like Tyradus might be getting engaged onto Avenue. Coming up here, can he land the slow? He's already hit the stun. Actually doing a lot of damage back on Avenue, but the unleashed power is just ridiculous damage. Easy pickup for him. But finally, back to what I was talking about earlier. Top lane, 2 Doran's rings, and what looks like a Phage coming out here for Homer. What do you think about this? It doesn't seem to be doing too much in lane. Can it make the difference in a team fight, though?
It's all going to depend on how quickly you can get that Trinity Force. As with most champions that build it, he gets a pretty decent power spike once he completes it. If he can get it, he has picked up his Phage, the Sheet now, so that's going to be pretty big for him. He's going to
bot lane, hang on a second, we've got a TP coming in from Homer. He manages to get onto Noxiac, but swaps on a Holy Phoenix. Great idea there. Now Holy Phoenix gets exhausted. Sauna's coming in. There was an Ignite onto him, but it's not going to do enough. He is quite low, but Homer is just destroying everyone in the backline, and actually Nico picking up one of those kills. It is not Sauna's day when it comes to picking up these kills, but actually Moerth in the middle lane also picking up the Achilles. Great turnaround here by Trick. They actually got 3 kills in the tower.
Yeah, really nice TP from him. This is what I wanted to see from him, is once he was level 6, making those aggressive tower dives, and it's a really good TP, and I don't think Aces expected it at all. They got TP'd on behind, sort of on the minion line behind them, and they were just a little bit overextended, so great TP from Homer. It is going to leave Thaldrin alone in this top lane to get a bit of a push on. I don't think he's going to be able to take the tower, but having said that, I mean, the mid lane as well. The Achilles just, was he overextended a bit? Like I didn't see the full extent of that. I just saw him die, and
I didn't quite catch it either, but I believe he was trying to maybe go on to Tyradus or something and ended up backfiring. Looks like Thaldrin is able to pick up the tower in the top lane, so that's at least a bit of a consolation prize going the way of Aces High. They are still ahead in gold, they are still ahead in dragons, but giving the kill over to Homer is certainly getting to that Triforce a little bit earlier. His mid game is going to be pretty strong if he gets a few more.
Yeah, it's actually interesting to see he's gone for those mobility boots, so he's made a statement now. He wants to roam, he wants to be trying to aggressively dive people and catching them out of position.
Ooh, mid lane. Tyradus actually happened to flash, even though he was under his own tower, to get away from that. Thaldrin coming in, but here comes Homer. They're going for it. Moerth taken very low, he goes down. Thaldrin is so tanky, and now Theocles coming in as well. Can they get onto Homer? He is so low, does not have ultimate cooldown, just got it up, but it is not enough. And Aces High picking up a very nice 3 kills. Now Noxiac roaming to this middle lane. Theocles nearly getting taken down by the right of the Arcane, but they're going to try and push onto this tower. Sauna is here, but so is Holy Phoenix. I think Aces High are just going to have to back away, though.
Yeah, the Sivir and Xerath wave clear is going to be pretty dirty to deal with, so I also didn't mention that at all earlier. If they need to be able to stall out these mid-game sort of sieges, they've got a great comp at doing it. I mentioned Xerath earlier, but actually Sivir and Sona are also doing a really good job of wave clearing. So as long as they don't get too far behind and they can't be dived by Thaldrin, then they're going to be in a pretty good spot to keep stalling and keep getting stronger, because Sivir is going to outscale Graves later in the game, as will Sona outscale Janna as well. You know, Crescendo has much more potential for playmaking than I think Monsoon does, so maybe it's going to come down a little bit more to how Nico can play this late game. If he can get a good Crescendo, followed up by Xerath ults, and also the Alistar dive, they're going to have some really strong team fights.
Well, we'll have to see if they can actually execute those the way that they want to. It's a tall order to get everything working in harmony when it comes to these big fights, and actually, you know, looking across the board right now, I want to talk a little bit about the CS and, you know, some of the item builds too. We're seeing both of the junglers going for Trailblazers this game, which I think is a very interesting choice. Both of these guys, normally ones that you'd be seeing picking up a Stalker's Blade, you know, at least based on what we've seen recently come out teams. And actually, every time I see, you know, one of them go to a lane after someone's died, they use that to clear the wave, and I think that's actually kind of an interesting use for it. Seems to be doing a good job of stopping towers from getting pushed down too early, so that's an interesting strategic choice that both the junglers have gone for. And actually, here comes the grand stop on the bot lane. Crescendo straight away on the Holy Phoenix with the Boomerang Blade. That's a lot of damage. Sauna flashing forward. Can he get it? Yes, he can. Theocles, is he going to be able to pick this up? The spell shield goes down, wears off, and he is able to pick it up right of the Arcane coming as well. Marth is here. Noxiac getting engaged onto, and Marth actually backing straight away because he sees the teleport coming down. We've also got Avenue coming in. Can they get onto a flash forward? Unleash power. Moarth goes down, but Theocles getting stunned up by that shocking orb. Not going to be able to chase too hard. Thaldrin flash forward, twist advance onto Tyr to stun as well. The chain CC is unreal, and Aces pick up yet another kill.
They are
Homer! He actually knocks Thaldrin into the tower. He takes a lot of damage from that.
Oh man, the knockup, the CC chain, yeah, is huge, and Aces are making use of the fact that they have this. They can lock one person down for a very long time with Maokai, Pantheon, and Syndra, so their skirmish potential is so strong, and this is probably going to lead to them getting another dragon. I don't think Mouth is going to get back in time to be able to even attempt to steal on this one, and to be honest, Aces are fairly healthy anyway, so I can't see Trick Cookies can contest this.
Yeah, there we go. Second dragon being picked up for Aces High. They are in a fairly commanding lead at this point, I would argue. They just need to be careful not to get caught out. Actually trying to pick up Nico in the jungle, but not able to do so. And also, you know, something which I think is a big deal is that Homer hasn't actually managed to take down that top lane tower. He's picked up these boots of mobility. He wants to roam around and make things happen, but he can't really do it that effectively until that tower goes down, because he has to keep returning to top lane to shove out the wave.
Yeah, maybe it would have been nice to see Mao up in that top lane, maybe a little more in the early game, sort of pre-level 6, because Homer is a great, on Alistair, is a great tool for setting up ganks. With that headbutt pulverize combo, and as tired with someone like
hang on a second, Noxiac was trying to chase on this Homer, but Tyrannus was there, right at the Arcane. Can he land one more? He does get it. Homer also flashing, thinking that Tyrannus wouldn't pick it up. Now Thaldrin being chased onto. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, we did see Holy Phoenix picking up Sauna. Thaldrin is very, very low. I can't imagine him surviving here. Holy Phoenix, he is going to go down after picking up Sauna to Moarth, but lots of action across the map here overall, ending up 3 kills to 1 in favor of Tricked, but Theocles is going to grand scuff on top lane, jump onto Homer, land the stun. Can he chase onto this? A good headbutt keeps him away for now. Flash forward though, there it goes over to Theocles, equalizing this a little bit more now, 2-3.
Yeah, some good pickups there from Tricked, and it's going to mean Homer has finished his Trinity Force, so he's going to be stronger, and they need to sort of make the most of that. We saw there they can really easily set up ganks onto Thaldrin. You know.
Oh, the stun lands onto Tyrannus, and the follow-up from Theocles is huge. He is so low. Can they get onto it? Not quite! Tyrannus able to get away just in the nick of time, and Moarth backing him up, so no chase coming from Aces High. And actually Moarth, he tries to get a jukey attack onto Avenue, but it's not going to be enough. Big Unleash Power and Spear coming out there to finish him off. Very over-eager from Moarth, actually trying to get that attack around the minions with his Safeguard, followed by the Sonic Wave. And this is resulting in a bit of a push coming out here in the top lane from Aces High. Homer, he is in position to stop this, so Nico is here as well. And I'm pretty sure Aces High are going to have to back away. Actually, Homer getting engaged onto the Ignite went down, but now Nico, he is very low. Right at the Arcane coming out, gonna finish off Avenue just in the nick of time, and Theocles actually going down to Homer as well. So everyone is really being very over-aggressive here. We saw it from Moarth, we saw it from Aces High. Noxiac might fall to Homer here as well. The damage is actually fairly substantial from him. Good Howling Gale keeping him off for now, but can he get close enough? Obviously, the Boots of Mobility doing a good thing. Holy Phoenix is going to pick up... Oh man, he picks up Tyrannus, but Sauna is right there to get him. And now Moarth trying to get onto Thaldrin in the bot lane. Actually doing not really any damage, but is able to at the very least stop that push. That went, I would argue, very far in the way of Trick. They were able to stem all of the aggression in both lanes and able to pick up some big kills.
Yeah, I mean, God, well, they've been fighting for like 2 minutes now, and I can only really say that all of that was just overextension from both teams. You know, first Trick managed to pick up.
Oh, Moarth! He doesn't realize Thaldrin's in the bush. The sapling lands. The slow goes down. He does get the war jump away, but actually taken very, very low. Good thing for him, Nico is there to help him out.
Yeah, and as I was saying, it really came from the fact that both teams thought they had an advantage. You know, initially Aces played very aggressively because they've got that 3k gold lead, and Then they got turned around on them, and then suddenly Trick like, yeah, we're in a commanding position now, you know, there's some people dead on Aces. They then traded some kills back and forth, and they went down, and then Aces were like, oh look, we've got kills now, so let's do the same. And it was sort of one of those heat of the moment things, I think, where both teams thought they had a really good advantage, and they tried to press it a little bit too hard, but Homer's actually getting quite a big problem now. We saw him pick up a few kills, and they actually set up a lovely combo.
Uh-oh, here comes the engagement. Homer is going in onto Theocles in the choke point and actually doing a lot of damage, but he is going to get turned onto because the rest of his team is getting zoned out and actually has to pop his ultimate. That could be quite a big deal in this upcoming fight here. Blue buff did not able to get stolen away by Aces, went over to Homer in the end with his pulverize, but still not a bad play by Aces. And actually, look at the damage coming out of Tyradus. It's really making it difficult for people like Holy Phoenix to get into position for where he wants to be in these fights.
Yeah, they are making quite good use of that Xerath poke though, and they made a lovely combo in this top lane where they got the headbutt pulverize onto 3 people, and Tyradus managed to drop, I think it was at least 2 of his Rite of the Arcanes on top of them. And it was actually what ended up killing
flash
Avenue.
into the blue pit by Nico, trying to land the Crescendo Avenue, able to get away from that, though flashing out now, but Moa, he is on it. He is getting disengaged. Wow, that was so much damage coming out of Avenue. Great job by Thaldron keeping him alive for that. And there is the over-aggression we're talking about, or maybe you could argue just incredibly fast reactions coming out of Avenue to dodge that Crescendo. Bot lane, meanwhile, Holy Phoenix putting down some serious deeps on this tower, actually able to put it down, but Homer, he's teleporting behind him. Does Holy Phoenix realize this? Can he get away? He's going to need to try and dash over the Krug's wall, but the interrupt coming out of Homer, and now he just tries to get on the Sauna, not able to do it. And actually,
Aces have started the Baron.
yeah, this is a good call by them, I'd say, because they know that, you know, there's no teleport. Homer can't get here. There's no vision because they actually stopped that fight in its tracks earlier on. Monsoon's going to heal them all up, and certainly, first Baron of the game going over to Aces High.
Yeah, potentially Xerath could have contested, but I just don't think they expected Aces to even go for this at all, and they are probably going to pick up a mid tower from this, but in the long run, this is definitely not worth a Baron. I mean, especially at 24 minutes.
Wow, the Grand Skyfall from Theocles actually stopped the tower push, but he is getting engaged on Salna, is doing so much damage to him. Now Moa, he is jumping onto Thaldron. Tyradus is there to back him up, gets a slow onto Thaldron, but it's not quite enough, and Moa, you know, wasn't able in the end to jump onto Janet there, but Salna doing a good job of picking up Theocles. That's at least one less Baron buff on their team. And ultimately, the play in... Whoa, Salna! He takes so much damage. There's Twisted Advance. Thaldron going in, nearly taking down Salna by himself, and now Holy Phoenix, great collateral damage, sniping him up, but he had to get too close in order to get it. Does actually fall in return. Looks like Trick are going to have to back away from this, though, as Avenue and Thaldron are still quite threatening. But this might be Trick's first dragon at the very least. There's not going to be a chase here coming out of these.
Yeah, despite all of that, I'm going to give that the fight definitely went in Trick's favor. They managed to wipe 3 Baron buffs off the side of Ace, which means probably aren't going to be able to split push that effectively. Not going to be able to utilize that sort of triple lane push. And picking up the first dragon for Trick is going to be huge. They need that additional ability power and attack damage to make sure that they can contest these fights a little bit smoother. So yeah, great pickup from Trick, and again it was an overextension from Ace. It seems to be the theme of this game really, is one team gets a nice little advantage and they're like, yeah, we can really push this, but not quite calculating it perfectly.
Yeah, it does seem to be the curse of a lot of these amateur teams that are kind of near the top level but not quite there. You know, they are really good at putting down pressure and making things happen, but they just don't quite know when to stop. And certainly that's something we've been seeing from both teams in this whole series. That happened last game as well. Aces, they are still in the lead, and keep in mind, you know, for them, they've got momentum coming into this. Tricked, they are down to the wire. If they lose this, they're out of the LPL. They're out of the chances of winning $20,000, and actually, Nico needs to get out of there because Noxiac is on him. Thaldron's coming in too. Moarth is here to back him up, though. I don't think they're going to commit to this. Actually, Thaldron is going in. There's not really enough backup here, I feel, for this Homer coming in as well. They are going to be able to get away, but Theocles using that Grand Skyfall in the bot lane, keeping Salna away from the wave, and now 3 people grouping up from Aces in the mid lane. Maybe they can get this tower. Flash forward by Thaldron, actually, onto Tyradus. The stun coming out. Avenue picks it up with the DFG. And this is certainly going to make things very difficult for Trick. They need that poke and wave clear coming at Tyradus to really stop this. Homer, though, he's going to the Noxiac, has a lot of damage. The Mikhail's actually being used on Noxiac himself to keep him alive, and that is going to be a successful disengage. Now Avenue, though, he managed to pick off Moarth, but in exchange is going to fall to Salna, who is very, very low. Tyradus Or sorry, Thaldrin picking that up. Now Theophilus chasing onto Nico. He's very low. Can he get it? Not quite great pulverize, but he headbutts him into him. Nico gets it. I don't know what's going on right now. That was so weird from Homer. And now Thaldrin going on to Homer. That is going to be the ace. Holy Phoenix in the top lane. Meanwhile, like a ninja, split push and getting the inhibitor.
This is disastrous for Tricked. I mean, they just lost a fight for like a 4v4 fight. I mean, I guess Xerath got picked up a little early, but they're going to lose an inhibitor for it as well then. Cheeky little flash there from early Phoenix. Not sure who's in that
Fancy
one,
feet.
but yeah, definitely was a happy feet syndrome there. And this is going to be 2 inhib towers and maybe a second inhibitor. I'm not sure if they have the pressure with Xerath there to actually get the second one out. Although they're going for this one.
Holy Phoenix! Holy cow! That was a lot of burst damage, collateral damage. Staying true to its name. And now Nico, he is taking it all. Holy Phoenix, man, he is just on an absolute tear right now. But he's out of mana. Whoa, look at the crits going on to Solid. One more attack, the heal gets him in range. Holy Phoenix, MVP for this game, man. Absolutely insane plays coming out of him in this late game. Fancy feet all over the place. And now Homer, he's the target. He does have his ultimate available, but Thaldrin and Holy Phoenix doing a good job. Holy Phoenix, now he's swapping target. He can go on anyone he wants to. This is an amazing play. He is just all over the place. Homer goes down. Thaldrin, they could look to end this soon at this point. They're just unable to do anything. 2 inhibitors down. They're going towards this bottom lane now. The minions have pushed up whilst that fight was going on. Holy Phoenix, man. He is just playing like a god right now, picking up the tower. Avenue comes in, jumps onto Tyrannus and kills him before the fight even starts. I think this might be game. What is going on right now?
This game has just exploded from, you know, it was in favor of Aces, but they weren't too far behind it. Then out of nowhere, we see 3 inhibitors going down. They're probably going to lose their base towers as well. I can't see them managing to pull this one back. A nice kick onto Avenue, but Holy Phoenix with happy feet and the kiting was just insane there. I say
damage. Oh my god.
Man. In the early game, he didn't have the best laning phase. I think we could say that. Solna's played pretty well in these lanes, but he's made it. Holy Phoenix has made up for it right there. That was incredible.
Well, I'm kind of at a loss for words because Holy Phoenix just made my day. That was the play of the month for me, I think, actually. Just godlike positioning. But this is going to wrap up the series, guys. Aces High taking it 2-0 up over Tricked. Tricked, unfortunately, commiserations to them. They are out of the Low Pro League. And Aces High, they're going to have to go up against Rock's Kiss now. And that is going to be a very, very difficult game.